Today, we are taking a look at a part of Pokemon which is often overlooked, and that is specifically the anime exclusive Pokemon. There are quite a few of them, but today I thought we would take a look at 5 of the most bizarre anime exclusive Pokemon that you forgot about. So that's what we're doing today. Now let's get right into it. So starting off the list, of course, has to be the anime exclusive Pokemon, which takes us all the way back in time to the Kanto generation and the original Pokemon animated series with Season 1. We're talking about the first anime exclusive and alternately colored Pokemon in the anime ever, the pink Butterfree. Now, this mostly seemed to have happened back in the day due to one thing, which is basically a way for the writers to give a female Butterfree companion to Ash's Butterfree, so they decided to make it pink as an easier way to symbolize that it was of a different gender, I would assume. Now, pink Butterfree made her appearance in Bye Bye Butterfree, where of course Ash's Butterfree falls in love with it and attempts to attract her with a weird dance. However, this didn't seem to work, and basically this pink Butterfree left Ash's Butterfree depressed. She eventually changed her mind when Ash's Butterfree saved her from Team Rocket, choosing him to be her partner. Now I have to say, this also ended up leading to like one of the saddest events in the Pokemon animated series, where we do see Ash's Butterfree leaving him, a Pokemon that followed him from the start of his journey to this point, and it honestly really changed the whole vibe of this episode, and it kind of makes you not really like the pink Butterfree if you think about it, right? Because it took away one of our friends. It took away a Pokemon that we actually enjoyed seeing, you know, grow up from a Caterpie all the way to a Butterfree, now gone because of this pink Butterfree. Like, it kind of ruined that, but it was an emotional moment, and also it did bring us a kind of bizarre moment, because this was the first time we got to see a alternately colored Pokemon within the animated series. This was also before even shiny Pokemon existed. Next on the list, we have Miss Maggie's Rayquaza Illusion. So this was the first appearance of an alternately colored Rayquaza in the animated series. In this case, it is the time when Miss Maggie's merged with an illusion that she created of Rayquaza, and basically it turned into this purple colored Rayquaza, which is just strange. Now, it did gain the purple coloring because of Miss Magius, Miss Magius's coloring, and even had the 3 red spots on it, the same way Miss Magius has those kind of spots around like its neck, like a necklace. Of course, what you do also notice in this case is that this Rayquaza is oddly similar to the way that shiny Rayquaza also looks like, which has like a black colored style to it. And in this situation, we have a purple color that is dark, very similar to it. Overall, it's one of the coolest looking things ever. I do love its design. It's really awesome, making it super unique, but also really bizarre, because it's almost like we have a fusion in front of us, as it's technically a Miss Magius turning into a Rayquaza Illusion, right? It's weird because you almost have like a fusion, but not at the same time. It's really odd. And we do not get to see a lot of these sort of forms in Pokemon media too often, and we've never actually gotten to see this one in any Pokemon related media besides this one episode and one situation. Then we have a very infamous anime-only Pokemon, and that is Porygon Zero. See, this Porygon was the one from the now banned episode commonly known as the Electric Soldier Porygon. This was the 38th episode of the Pokemon animated series, and has remained infamous because it resulted in several hundred of Japanese people and children from different ages suffering different sorts of health effects from this episode. This was caused because of flashing lights. This was actually the first time that the series got into a major pile of trouble, as they had went basically after this situation, they went on a 4-month hiatus because of the whole thing happening in the whole episode. It was actually the first time that this had actually happened, and actually this year, like right now in 2020, is the first time that Pokemon anime is going on hiatus since this episode. So that's just a piece of information. It also led to this episode being fully banned to ever be released commercially and to ever be rebroadcasted. It is officially banned. You are not allowed to show this whatsoever, though there are copies on the internet, of course. Now, we've talked a bit about the whole situation surrounding the episode, but what about the Porygon Zero from the episode itself? Like, what's the deal with that Pokemon? Well, it was Jesse's Porygon, and was a prototype created by Dr. Akihabara, and then stolen by Team Rocket. Now, it got its name Porygon Zero as it actually had a 0 on its forehead, or I'm not sure if it was painted there or whatever, but there is Zero on his forehead. So this is kind of a strange, bizarre like situation, making you wonder if this was like the first ever Porygon that was created, as it was Porygon Zero, right? Not like, you know, if you start in terms of developing things, right? You start from a 0, right? And you work your way up with patches and stuff. And since it's literally a computer Pokemon, that's kind of what I'll be expecting from it. But either way, this is a bizarre Pokemon from a truly scary and bizarre episode from like the darkest part of the Pokemon history. Like, it's genuinely one of the darkest parts in the history of Pokemon, and it's kind of encapsulated in this one single episode and this one single Pokemon. It's really weird when you think about it, but that's that one. Let's move on to the next one on the list. Next, we have the classic episode featuring the God Gengar and God Alakazam. Now, these were from the episode known as the Ancient Puzzle of Pokemopolis. In this episode, a Gengar god and a Alakazam god, literally gods, with numerous markings that look like tattoos, show up out of basically nowhere, and then start fighting against each other. It's truly bizarre. See, this all seemingly stemmed from the idea that this Alakazam and Gengar had connection to each other because of one being psychic and the other one being ghost, and those two somewhat, for some reason, being pitted against each other within the anime a few times before. However, the fight between them actually ends up being cut short and ended when out of nowhere, Jigglypuff shows up from an ancient bell and quells the fight between them with a song. Now, to begin with, the general idea here that there are Pokemon God versions of normal Pokemon is crazy. This is just so weird and bizarre when you think about it. Like, this is literally telling us and implying to us that each Pokemon has a god representation of it that exists in some ancient parallel plane of existence, where they emerge from like that place into our world, or the Pokemon world, to battle against each other. Like, it's just bizarre and weird. And I find it sort of bizarre that this is even a thing, but it did open the door for a lot of more crazy possibilities. I mean, at this point, we've got Pokemon like, you know, Giratina, you've got Arceus, you've got these Pokemon that are literally the representations of gods within Pokemon. And I guess, hey, guess what? Back in Generation 1, they already did this with literal God Alakazam and God Gengar. So yeah, that's that. And also, let's not forget God Jigglypuff. That also happened, which is really crazy. But hey, let's not dwell on this one. Let's go to the next one. Now, before number one, I want to give an honorable mention to two specific things. The first being Crystal Onix as one of the OG alternatively colored Pokemon from the animated series, and of course showed up as an Onix made out of glass crystals, which lived within a cave on Sunburst Island during the episode Crystal Onix. And next one is an honorable mention that goes to the pink Pokemon that showed up in the episode right after Crystal Onix, called the Island of Pink Pokemon, or In the Pink for short, and featured an island loaded with Pokemon colored pink, very similar to that of Pink Butterfree. So a quick honorable mention, and now let's go to number one. And finishing off the list, the number one Pokemon on this list has to probably be one of the saddest cases on this list, and that's the clones of the Kanto starters. Now, these were the original 3 clones attempted to be created by Dr. Fuji, and they were called Squirtle 2, Bulbasaur 2, and Charmander 2, and were created alongside Mewtwo and Amber 2. Now, all 3 of them had these strange blue and dark markings on them, which you could use to identify between them and the non-cloned versions. Now, the sad part is that in the original Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back uncut story of Mewtwo's origin, we actually see that these poor little clone starters actually don't make it. However, they seemingly do reappear fully evolved towards the later part of Mewtwo Strikes Back the movie, where they face off against the non-cloned versions owned by the trainers invited to the island by Mewtwo. However, we don't know for sure if the fully evolved ones are the same ones from the origin story part, but I have to say that it does make for a kind of sad and bizarre tale, right? Maybe Mewtwo just created more of them, like more of these clones, right? Instead of Squirtle 2, you know, Bulbasaur 2 and Charmander 2, maybe it was the third ones, right? And maybe he cloned them to have the old friends which he had, which were gone. Or they are the same ones, though I'm not sure how that works out. But besides that, though, I do have to say, this is kind of sad and bizarre of a tale, that there were these 3 innocent creatures that were created out of a tube, essentially, and that seemingly lost their lives in a lab. But what do you guys think about it? What are your thoughts on the clones from the Mewtwo Strikes Back movie about the bizarre appearance of them and their strange nature, and the fact that we have never really seen them show up in any of the Pokemon games, but only really within the animated series. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? Let me know. And so that is it for today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and you can expect to see way more content like this very soon. If we do hit 1,000 likes, as usual, you guys can expect to see a similar video follow-up to this one very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.